Hey friends, today on Gardening with Creekside, we are going to give you a project update because a lot has been happening behind the scenes here at Creekside Nursery. We try to film a lot of things and show you a lot of things that are happening, but sometimes logistically it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Take Exhibit A. Here we are at the woodland garden, and yesterday our sweet ladies, Alyssa and Kelly, took care of this huge project for me in the fact that they got all of the drip irrigation laid down in this flower bed. And so then Jerry and Jackson and Emily joined Alyssa and Kelly and laid down our compost blend that we're going to use as a mulch for this flower bed. So we wanted to show it to you all finished and dressed up and looking fantastic. Now you might be able to see in a couple of spots where this drip tubing is exposed. We were using this drip tube, which is the brown drip tube. It has the emitters in there. So we decided to use the one that has the emitters. I believe they're every 12, 18 inches apart from each other. One of those two, close enough. 12, 18 inches apart from each other. And if you will remember, there were 4 different little spouts coming up throughout this bed. So what the ladies did, connected the tubing to that and then wound it around in sections. So like this is a section right here. Then down here was a whole another section. So it's a closed loop system. So we don't have T's and elbows except for where it connects into the main system right here. So they really did a fantastic job. I told them, I said, this is such a dry area because of the soil conditions are just bad. The trees are soaking up all the moisture, and then for so many years, especially this front part, has just gotten baked. So basically all of my shrubs, perennials that I have in here, they did a beautiful loop for me and got them all nice and good, listen to me, insulation, irrigation on them. This is insulation because of course with the past 2 nights, we have had below freezing temperatures with wind. I know when I showed you how I was doing this, there was no wind. Well, the wind came later the day, so that was a lot of fun. But you can see that my hostas are in there quite happy and doing really well. I am going to cover this back up for today because again tonight we are in, it's not as bad. I think it's only like maybe 29 or 30. This morning I know before the sun came up it was 26, so it probably dipped down a little bit more. But you can see, right, see how they did a great job, and there's irrigation going all around in a beautiful circle around this hosta, and then it hits all of the other shrubs as well. So we're going to cover this back up. A lot of people asked, I just simply forgot, y'all. There was so much information that I was trying to give you the other day when we were talking about protecting your plants from these freezes. I have left all of my coverings on the plants. This will be day 3 now. Tomorrow is supposed to be finally get above freezing as far as the nighttime temperatures. So we will come back and remove all of these because we're going to get rain and they're going to do really well. Now, if you will talk about logistics back on irrigation just really quick. Back here we have the irrigation box. And so in this irrigation box, this is where all the valves are for this area. And we are going to, there's a box here and then there is a box at the berm. So we, Jerry, I say we as a collective whole here at Creekside, are going to run and put a timer up at the gate on this. And that way we will have 4 zones here. So we'll have 2 zones with the berm, 1 on each side. This whole woodland garden will be a zone, and then they're going to run irrigation for me at the sign bed. So that will give us 4 zones that will be connected with on that timer. But everything is doing really well. Even in those freezing temperatures, doing really nicely. They have responded so beautifully well to being in here. I did come back through the other day and I added land and sea around every single plant that was in here. This is that beautiful Lenten rose. It's kind of that yellow Lenten rose. So pretty. they were just really struggling in the heat and being transitioned in here. And land and sea is always a good idea. So every single perennial and shrub got some land and sea. Then, of course, the irrigation was added, and then the top dress of the mulch. These were the Lenten roses, though, when I was doing this, that were just, I mean, they were, the other day when I was up here, maybe it was when I was planting the hostas, and it was so warm, and they were just laid out completely flat on the ground. This was the worst one right here. It doesn't have any flowers on it, and that's okay. It has that beautiful foliage, but this poor plant, when I say it was completely limp and laying down, it was, and it was just dry. So watered it really well, added that nice thick layer of land and sea around it, watered it in again, and then the cooler temperatures certainly have helped, and then adding the top dressing has helped a lot. Once your Lenten roses get established, they really are pretty drought tolerant. They are meant for kind of that dry shade area, so they will be fine. It's just getting them to that point of getting established. So I'm very encouraged by that. And then I want to show you the, let's see, let's just pick a hydrangea here. Look at the growth on these oak leaves. Isn't that fantastic? This is, of course, is ruby slippers, right? So a nice petite oak leaf hydrangea. It will be wider than it is tall. People were concerned. They're like, Jenny, and I know it is confusing, but you just have to go with me here. Talking about freeze protection, not to lay plastic sheeting on top of the plants where it lays directly on it, but you can use the pots. And people are like, well, why can you use the pot? It's plastic. It is, but it's not laying directly on top of the foliage. It's more like a little greenhouse. And these have actually popped out more with more foliage than before I put them on there, because it is like a little mini greenhouse, especially being black. The sun warms it up and it warms up the plants. So they are just fine. The plastic tubs, that works, not the plastic sheeting on there. And of course I try to come back and put it on, and there we go. So they're going to stay on for one more night, and then we will remove them tomorrow. But yeah, we have buckets and sheets everywhere. I did go ahead and remove the towels off of my David Austin roses. I told you that I probably was safe not covering them, but I just wanted to make sure anyway, because it made me feel a little bit better. The generous gardener that is on the arbor obviously did not get covered. That would have been kind of a nightmare to try to do that. She's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. She could have cared less. It got down to 26, 25 last night. So I went ahead and took the covers off all the other roses. And so that way their new growth was bent over just a little bit because of the weight of the blanket still, but they were doing great. So while we're going through here, wanted to give you an update on the berm as well, to show you how warm it has been and really like how warm this spot is. Look at these sedums. Look at that. Look at all that beautiful new growth on this gorgeous perennial sedum. I do not have the name in front of me right now, so forgive me. These are proven winners. They're from our friends at Walter's Gardens, but I mean, that'll give you a clue as to how warm it has been here. But everybody is doing great. I still need to come in and trim my Russian sage. I will show you how to do that. It is not hard whatsoever. The thunderhead pine, this is a black Japanese pine, Japanese black pine rather. People always ask what it is. It is getting ready to candle. That's what you call these little things that come up right here. So doing really well, but this is a really fun specimen tree, and it obviously is in the pine family. So it's handling these cold temperatures like a champ, as is, this is Cosmopolitan. So pretty. They are still just now coming out, so you can see that they weren't really damaged at all with the freeze, and especially the ones that are still covered up, just now opening, getting ready to open, they're fine. So I didn't, quote, lose, I don't think, really any of my flowers on my bulbs. They are doing great. The Vino Verde, look at all this great foliage on this Weigela. Isn't it wonderful? Vino Verde is a really fun one. It's mainly for foliage. If you look at it, you're like, well, it looks a little funny. Well, not really. The outside edges are black and the inside is green. So that's why you've got color variation on this plant. Beautiful foliage color and will look just great in here. My sweet talker viburnums that we were so worried about after the Arctic blast right before Christmas, completely defoliated, looked horrible. Look at this, is all brand new growth. Everything that you see as far as growth wise is brand new, because it dropped every single one of its leaves, was completely naked. It was naked and it was flowering. So clearly they are just fine. And then look at this beautiful thing. This is the Sensation honeysuckle. So it is obviously a perennial, considered to be a shrub. Look at that beautiful foliage. And this is an evergreen. So an evergreen vine, I just lightly tied one time on here. So all of this new growth will send up shoots. I'll have to train it a little bit till it hits the fence. And then once it hits the fence, then it will take off. But Sensation from Proven Winners, it's beautiful evergreen and will rebloom. So that is very encouraging. The cherry trees, I think they took a little bit of a hit. They don't seem quite as pretty and white this morning as they were yesterday, but that's okay. They still have some blooms on them and looking really, really nice. Look at these beautiful butterfly bushes. This is Pinker, Pugster Pinker. I was worried about some of my butterfly bushes. These did not get covered and they are beautiful and doing quite nicely, putting on lots of new foliage. Still a little bit concerned. This is all from the Arctic blast. This is not from the past 2 days. I think she's a goner. What do you think? That poor loropetalum. This was a Jazz Hands Bold. It was newly planted. That's the main problem with this, is that when those winds came in and hit it, those dry sustained winds, yeah, she looks pretty crispy, as does this one. So those are gonna have to get replaced. Let's see, anybody else? I think we're doing, oh, let's come over here right quick. I wanna show you, give you an update on this side of the berm, just for one or two little things right here, because we planted the golden Oakland holly and really starting to show some really nice coloring now that the sun is already starting to change. But see that nice bright variegated leaf on that? Beautiful kind of chartreuse yellow edges, dark green center. This will grow up to be a nice size holly tree. Really good size, and then have those north poles behind it will be really nice. The camellias, this is October Magic Ruby, a beautiful double red. It is a Sasanqua. I just wanted to show you camellias that had no protection, and they're beautiful. They are doing really well. The October Magic series is gonna be more full sun, so they are doing well. And for my folks who understand hydrangeas, our panicles are popping out new growth. This is pufferfish, and pufferfish, look at that. Y'all, this is March, and we have new growth on panicle hydrangeas. Is that not crazy? It is crazy. Now, we're gonna mosey on over to the nursery because Josh and the crew, the boys, have been feverishly working the past 2 days to install a whole new irrigation area underneath the pines. We talked about this, I guess, gosh, back in the fall sometime. And this is gonna be an area for production. So this is production irrigation, but it is for growing shade perennials, because we do not have a good place to grow our shade perennials. And we decided that we were going to create this area back here. So one day, Jerry needed to let off some steam, I believe, and was in the enclosed bobcat and had the best time just tearing things up over here and clearing the spot. So we've already started potting up bare roots, hostas, all sorts of good things like that. And the boys were getting the irrigation in, so we can see that now and really kind of show you what's happening. While we're going that way, the irrigation, not the irrigation, listen to me, the Easyscape right through here. Remember, we partnered with our friends at Walter's Gardens and created this Easyscape for the shade. Easyscapes are like a garden by number type deal where you get the recipe and then you plant it. So if you will look at the poster right here, it will show you what 4 plants that we're using, and then it will give you a basic planting guide. If you scan that QR code, it will actually take you to the website and give you lots of other information and more different planting guides. But look at the spot on pulmonaria. It's blooming, so we have 4 spot-ons coming around the edge. Really nice. It did die back as far as the foliage. It died back this winter. So all of this is brand new growth. Beautiful, sweet salmon pink flowers that will transition to a lovely shade of blue. And then our Diamond Lake hostas, there are 3 in here, will get nice and big and massive. They are all coming up. I think this one may get a little bit more sun because it's further along. And then the dressed up euchre, this is evening gown and nice big black beautiful leaves. We've got crested surf. It's hard to see. The crested surf is a Japanese painted fern. It dies completely back, but we've got little sprigs popping up. So everybody is waking up, and before long, this bed will be nice and full and beautiful and lush again. So now we can come back over here and you can see basically this whole section of woods is where we're going to have that shade nursery for production wise. The boys were able to tie in to the existing irrigation. They have a new valve box right underneath this spool of wire right here. So all the valves are down in there. This will all connect to the same timers, the different zones. We can add them all in there. So it will be completely automated. But the idea is that instead of having big, huge pockets of plants on the ground where customers are walking, like we've got some euchres here, some euchres there. These are all the hostas that got potted up, the Solomon seal, right? So it's just taking up a bunch of room, and customers are like, do I shop this? Do I not shop this? Well, all that's going to go out here and do some final grading in here. We will mulch this, get this nice and cleaned up. But like over here, for example, this would be something comparable. So we could have a huge block of Diamond Lake hostas right here, and then so forth all the way down, because each of these white PVC pipes that you see will have sprinkler heads on them and then will shoot out. I don't know the exact 30 feet in all directions. 15 on each side, right. So Jerry says it'll be a 30 foot diameter, so 15 on each side. We will have obviously a path through here that we can get a machine through. So if we need to get the Bobcat or the Kubota, whatever, we can drive through here. It won't be wall to wall plants, but we will have little paths in here. We are going to spray paint the white PVC. We'll spray paint that probably black, so that way it kind of blends in and disappears a little bit in here. But it's a nice big area. I mean, it is very nice. We don't have water that runs through here when we get those big gully washers. It doesn't run through here. Then once we get this graded and we get that first layer of mulch, we really won't probably have to add any more mulch in here unless it would just be on the path, because we are underneath these beautiful pine trees, and you can see that they do a really good job of covering the ground with some really nice pine straw. So we're not going to have to be a high maintenance area on this, but just huge area that we can come in here, fill in the center with all these great shade perennials. So what kind of perennials are we talking about? Well, one, we're talking about like macrophylla hydrangeas. That would definitely be one. If we have more shady or tender shrubs, like an elderberry, if we carry more elderberries, they can grow out here. Of course, your hostas, your brunnera, your shade-loving eucharas, your pulmonaria, the heaven sent, all of those really nice shade-loving perennials and shrubs can come hang out here, grow, and be happy. And then also it's really easy for us to transition them over to the nursery and let people shop for them over there. So that's kind of the update here. It looks really good. This is the first time I've been in here and seen it, and they have just done an excellent job on this. Very, very nice. Cannot wait to get these little babies in here so that they can start growing. Now what we're going to do, we're going to head up to the production area, and I want to give you an update on the annex because I believe they're finishing it up right now. The whole siding is all on the annex. We hired Francisco, a great crew. They came in, have worked their little hearts out getting the hardy plank siding up, and it looks really nice. I haven't been up there pestering them because I don't want to be in their way. So I've only seen one hole, the back wall done. It looked amazing. So I can't wait to see what the completed look actually looks like. So we're gonna head up to there and show you an update on that and give you an update on the production area as far as the plants that we had to cover for the freeze. All right, my friends, so here we are at the annex, and yes, it is completely done. The fellows are just cleaning up their supplies. Now, before we get too far into this, no, this is not the final color of the building. This is hardy plank siding. It is a cement product. We actually have it on our house. Love it. So it looks like wood, but it is not. It is that cement product. They have put in like a wood grain into it. But the beautiful thing, well, there's a lot of great things about this, is that because it is a cement product, you don't, quote, have to paint it, right? It's not like a pure wood siding where you've got to seal it and protect it. So this is the primer on it. I know it's nice and bright and yellow. We are thinking of more of a gray, something that will blend in really nicely with our oak trees. These are mostly all oak trees. There are a few poplar trees in here, but the vast majority of things in here are oak. So we want this building to blend in and be very compatible with the environment, not this lovely buttercup yellow, but it looks fantastic. So of course, we've got it on here. We've got the trim. I'm thinking the trim will be white, maybe. I don't know. We haven't discussed trim color, or maybe the trim will be the same color as the siding.
I just want to go simple.
Jerry says simple, so we might just do yes, that's up for discussion. Honestly, I don't care one way or another. It might look nice to have just a monochromatic look on it. So we've got trim on this. So everything's out here is done. We had put in some outdoor electrical outlets. So those are there. Conduit, that's just conduit running. But you can see just how nice it is. They sealed in, of course, all up there underneath the roof. That is the soffit. And nice good air circulation up there, doing great. So really nice clean look to it. Maybe we'll come over this way, or let's tell you what, let's go back this way so that way we can then turn around and get the look from the front. That is the thing about the annex. It's kind of when you're on the outside of it, it's interesting to get to. And I'm tiptoeing through some mud here, but you can see, of course, this is the side with each of the two sides has a great garage door here. They got vents. Obviously, we're going to hang some lights up there above the garage door. We'll have that on the other side as well. Still have that beautiful trim. Everything's really nice, doing great here. And then to show you, look how nice the little doorways look. Isn't that great? You know, the little hallways between the two different ones. So they did a great job filling all of that in, going all the way up. Just did a fantastic job on it as well. So we'll come around here to the front and let you have kind of the big picture on it here. Now, obviously, we've got 3 houses right in front of it, so you can't see the whole thing, but still, we can't even see the whole thing because the houses are in the way. But it sure is nice to have it done. And then I'm thinking, like right now, as far as we're concerned, the timeline on getting it painted is going to be sometime this summer when it's hot and sticky and things are slower here at the nursery. I use that term as a relative term. Things are never really slow here. Then we will get it painted. Of course, we'll probably use the sprayer for everything that we can reach. But that just kind of gives you an idea, and you can see maybe through the greenhouses how that siding just comes. There's walls all right there. But could not be happier with the job that they did. They just did a fantastic job on getting all of that siding up, and we sure are appreciative and grateful for that help. That's the thing. You can do anything. You can't do everything, people. So know when to ask for help and when is a good time to pay somebody else to do the work. And so this was definitely one of those times. Quick update on shrubs here that got covered and protected. We were selective on what we decided to cover. Obviously right here in front of me, I have got the 3-gallon summerific hibiscus. There was absolutely no need to cover these because they were doing, they're dormant and they're doing just fine. To show you though, like the loropetalums, this is the same loropetalum that we had down in the berm. This is all from the Arctic blast. We had some major damage and we've lost some of this crop. As we go through the spring and we go through all of our crops and look at everything, we will throw out the dead and keep the good for sure. But in here is candy corn spirea because that has a nice, beautiful, tender foliage on it. And we don't want to have it burnt. It would not kill the plant. It's just that it burns it and then it sets it back. Everything that we have covered, we are not concerned about the plant dying. We're concerned about the plant looking its best when we put it out on the retail floor so that you can purchase plants that are of highest quality. So we've got some hydrangeas in there. What else were in here? Some azaleas that had new growth on them. Gardenias, the spireas, roses, those kinds of things that had already really kind of flushed out a lot, and we wanted to protect that so it doesn't set the plant back when we put it on the retail floor for you. It's a fun time to be in the South, and looking at the weather for the next 2 days, it's going to warm up a little bit. So we're getting out of the freezing temperatures, but it's going to be rainy, and then we hit back down into like the low 30s again for the next 2 nights, and then for the next 2 weeks, it looks like we're okay. So it's just life in the South. We knew that this was going to happen. We were not shocked by this, but you do have to prepare, especially when you have product that you're wanting to sell to customers. You do have to protect that. But that is our little project update for today. Covered some of those big projects that got taken care of kind of off camera, behind the camera. We just wanted to give you a heads up on that and keep you in the loop so you know what is happening. As always, thank you so much for gardening with Creekside. Y'all have a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.